We're Mike and Nancy Crosley, and we've been married since 1991. And that's 27 years. We're in the northeastern corner of Nebraska, right across from South Dakota.
I was born and raised right here on these acreages with my parents, my grandparents, the grandparents before them. This is our historical lands right here. Today I'm the land manager for the tribe. I manage about 40,000 acres.
Of course, you know, where spring thaws, the water table, or the water had always risen in the creek and it would flood. It flooded our front yard frequently. About every year we could expect it to happen. I thought we'd be okay. We kind of thought we would eventually move.
Yep.
We'd talked about moving up to higher ground, but it was never so threatening before.
No, it was
not to this extent.
Where you see the trees across over there, a couple of 100 yards, that's where actually Brazil Creek is. Okay, it usually comes out of its banks 1 or 2 times a year, but this was an exceptional amount of water that came this year.
It was those 5 and 6 inch rains that bothered. In this case, the ground was still frozen. The ice was so much thicker this year and things. In a matter of about 3 hours is about how much notice we had to get out, and this was a complete shock to us for this type of amount of water.
We kind of argued about that. He said to me, don't worry about it. You know, it's only been up to the 3rd step. Don't worry about it. And I said, we had a hoop barn that was probably, boards underneath of it were 8 inches high. And I told him, I said, if the water gets on top of those boards, I'm leaving. I packed a bag and I told him I'm leaving. And I was standing at the back door, and he's arguing with me, of course, it's not going to get that bad. It's not going to get that bad. I said, the water's going over the boards, and now it's coming around our buildings. I'm leaving. So I started walking out.
So this is what we always called the benchmark of how high, the highest time in 17 years that the water had ever gotten. Now it was right here. And that put about a 2-foot wall of water inside the house.
We stayed the first week with my parents across the road, which has got a good view of the river, or of the creek. And that's where we kept watching the water come higher and higher coming through our place, and we kept seeing our stuff coming floating by. There goes the fuel barrel. You know, I mean,
it was pretty crazy.
We had a front row view of watching our stuff float by us.
The mailbox we retrieved about a half a mile down the road. When the water's all receded, it was sticking up out of the water, so my grandson's a rodeo fanatic, and he went out and roped it for me and drug it back in. When we rebuild, we're gonna have it as a memento of the 2019 Nebraska strong storm, okay? So it's gonna be a memory.
Then you start thinking about the financial loss of what are we losing? And so my grandson and I kept going back over there to move that livestock. At one point, you know, I was, you know, this between, you know, waist deep and chest deep in the water. And I joke about it, that those guys that jump into the water for the polar plunges, they have nothing over on me. I know what it is to polar plunge now and stuff.
With icebergs.
With icebergs and logs, you know, the power of that water, it actually pushed me down one time. And I was, you know, about to my head in the water.
This is where I had 8 little 350-pound calves, and the water and stuff, it took 2 of those and stuff. And the ice and stuff was all deposited in here. You know, we knew our numbers were short. It took about 2 weeks for the ice to melt down to actually find them and stuff. They were just buried in the debris.
I've never seen anything like this. I don't know how you could have prevented it. I don't know how you could have prepared for it. It was just, this was an all new weather event to us that we'd just not seen before. It used to be, we had time to get our cattle in, harvest our crops. Anymore, the crops are just barely done growing, and you've got snow, you've got rain every other day here. Doesn't seem like the 4 seasons that we used to have. One day in Nebraska we're scooping snow, and the next day we're out mowing our lawn. There's no middle ground anymore.
if it's so wet and you can't put up hay, there's no sense in spending the money to plant alfalfa seed when we can't get out there to farm it. It's like one more slap in the face. Like, why the heck are we still farming?
If somebody wants to come in and salvage later on, we'll let them do it. But this one was the ultimate. It's time to get out of here.
You do kind of get to a point where you say, good Lord, how many more beatings can I take? You just get tired of it. Tired of the constant fight.